So my name is Omar Abasad. It is 7:52 p.m., May 9, 2020. And this is my chest. That's me. This is spectrum analyzer breaking down EF, RF, and EMF. The EMF is the biggest font. So I'm starting to get heart palpitations suddenly. And these are not from activity because I've been sitting for at least an hour right here. And I decided to show you what the signals look like when I get these palpitations suddenly. So notice the high EF reading. Also notice that the EMF reading and the RF reading is pulsing up. So before I started doing this, the EMF reading was close to 30 when it was half of that before I started getting palpitations. So the RF and the EMF readings, both these numbers increase, and the EF readings also increase. But I noticed, and I could be wrong, that when the EMF pulses up to 300, I really get bad palpitations. When it's combined with the RF number pulsing up, then I do go into arrhythmia according to my monitor, the blood pressure monitor. So, and I'm using the camera of the computer. You see that 20, 25, and the RF went up to 3 plus. So I just got a heart palpitation there. Just one that I could feel. So I'm using this camera and not my cell phone because the cell phone registers high RF readings. So the camera I'm using is just a little camera, a webcam attached to the computer. So the signals are not being interfered with from readings off the camera. So this is strictly readings off me without any interference. So notice the EF reading right above my heart. Notice how high that electrical current is, directly above my heart. Notice that the RF is pulsing from close to 0 right up to close to 10. That's the range. And the EF reading directly into my heart is going up close to 2000 VM. So when you add the EMF increase, if that EMF goes up to 100, 200, I will immediately go into arrhythmia. Immediately. That's my observation. Now, I am being monitored 24/7 in my building as part of the ongoing experiment that I've been talking about for years. So around this time, somebody new comes on shift. It's Saturday, so not sure who. But notice how high that EF reading is, right above my heart. So yeah, there's a new person on shift. And there seem to be meetings held as part of this experiment. So at the end of the meetings, different disciplinary actions are taken based on what's reported about me and discussed. So the power is turned up or the power is turned down. So it would seem that it was discussed that I would get heart palpitations and arrhythmia because the team decided that they want my heart checked out. And one way to get me to the hospital is to have me taken there by an ambulance. And the way to do that, of course, is to give me a heart attack. So this is experimentation, because if I do get a heart attack, they can experiment with the treatment. They can use the process to torture. They can use the process to kill. Because it is an experiment, as PK openly said when he harassed me on the phone and left messages harassing me, openly talking about it. So it is an experiment with signals. So these signals could be covered up with 5G, as I demonstrated. The signals from the modem have all three components, and the modem, when it switches from the 2.4 channel gigs channel, the 2.4 gigs channel to the 5 gig, you can see the variation in the signal strength in all three categories. So if somebody were to hit you with these signals, it could be easily covered by the 5G signals in the area from your modem, from your cell phone. So it would be hard to say, what affected you. If a person is affecting you, or it's you're one of these people who are affected by 5G or by the signals, and not only 5G, the other signals as well. So it is a well-known fact, although the government is not talking about it. Governments are known not to talk about a lot of things. Because the government is not talking about it doesn't mean that it's not a fact. Government's business is to stay in power. The government's goal is to stay in power. Therefore, the government is only going to talk about certain things. So because the government is not talking about something doesn't necessarily mean it's not happening and it's not true. So, thousands and thousands of professionals around the world have documented, and I just got a palpitation, so I'm going to take some blood pressure readings, has documented. You see the EF readings going really, really high there? Has documented the effects of these signals. So it is a fact that signals do cause heart palpitations and heart attacks and clots and aneurysms and so on. So this just started, and I just started getting the palpitations, so I decided to do it live. Also, what started was a lot of knocks and loading dock, but maybe that's just the person cleaning the garbage bins. But when it comes to like 10, 11 o'clock and it's still knocking, that's not the garbage bin. Last night it went on until like 2 in the morning. So that's 2,000 plus. So the power was turned up to the maximum. So this was decided by the team in the building. 2,000. And the RF went up to 11. Power turned up. So I just got a palpitation. It went up to 15 or 12. Was 12 or 15. That was a palpitation. That's the RF I'm referring to there. And the EMF is going up to 22, 23. So all three numbers are going higher. which is what's causing the heart palpitations. So comments are constantly being made outside the window that we're going to get you kicked out, you're going to be evicted, that Rick is your new master. You got to get used to it being raped by these signals. Says last night, my waist and my obliques was hit with such high power. The EMF was like 400, and instantly my back was inflamed. It was kept inflamed by being tagged all night. So I was on painkillers. Also, aspirin is also anti-inflammatory, so that helped. Not a whole lot, but had to take some. I used ice and shielding. So today it felt better, although I was still on high anti-inflammatories, turmeric, curry, ginger. And it does help, definitely it helps. It also thins your blood naturally. So because these signals thickens your blood, as I've posted some links from the Magna Havas website, MAGDAHAVAS website, and I'll post it again under this one. Um, she demonstrated that the blood thickens and there's clots, can be clots. So, and it hinders the red blood cells from carrying oxygen. So you can have a heart attack because your heart is going to be deprived of oxygen. So it's important to keep your blood thin. It's important to shield. Shielding, steel, cheap steel, baking pans, sheets, big ones. Put some magnets on it. So you can get, shielding for your chest for about $10. You can get chicken wire with fine mesh that the spacing between it is very small. So you can double those up, double multi-layers. So that's another cheap way of shielding yourself from the microwaves. There's material on Amazon, but they can run you into a lot of money. And you can get the same effect by using household items, makeshift ones if you don't have the money. And I know a lot of people don't have the money right now. So I'm just suggesting cheaper ways. You can buy silver lined material. Silver is effective shielding. Copper is effective shielding. Grounding yourself can help take away some of this electricity from your body. I have a grounding material that I bought from Amazon for $50, which was overpriced, grossly overpriced. You can get something cheaper, a lot cheaper than that, to ground yourself, a wristband, for instance. I was disappointed with it, but it works. It does work. It really does. When I use it, it has to be in contact with your skin. It has to be in contact with your skin. So I wrap it around my neck, or I wrap it around my wrist, or I grab it on the wrist. I grab it with the hands and wrap it around. And if I used it for an hour, I can actually feel the difference in my body. It does work. It really does. So I would suggest that you do that. Like I said, there are cheaper ways of doing it. You can Google it and find out. So the signal, the electricity went down there. Yeah, it did go down. And I'm not getting heart palpitations or cramps. But you notice the EMF is high. It could be that it's picking up the magnets. And that 20 there, that was a palpitation right there. You see that EMF that pulsed? The EMF pulsed up to 20 plus. That was a heart palpitation. So the EMF seemed to have a direct relationship to the heart palpitations I'm noticing, and that's consistent. So when the EMF goes up to 200-300, I immediately go into arrhythmia. Immediately. So last night, the power was turned up on my hip, on my stomach, and it does cause bloating because inflammation causes retention of fluid. So my stomach is bloated. That goes away with shielding, and like I said, on a lot of natural anti-inflammatories, and it does help. It really does. It helps with water retention, and it helps with the bloating, and it helps with the swelling, and the inflammation, and the pain. So I just got the palpitation. Did it go up to 20 there? Yeah, it did, 22.22. So it's a combination of the EMF and high EF reading. So those two numbers right now seem to be going in sync. There, 20, and it pulsed through 11 something. So it's 22 there. So I don't have the magnet necklace on my neck. So there is no magnets where I'm pointing the sensor. So the EMF is not picking up magnets. The fluctuation of the EMF field is not because of the magnets in the field. And see that the high EF there, that's a pulse on the hip. And that was done in sync with a knock from the loading dock. So the person in the loading dock is logged in. So I just hiccuped. So that was a scat on the chest. $735 EF reading. The EMF went up to 22. So that's a good 19 minutes, going on 19 minutes. So this is how you go into arrhythmia. So you read a lot about COVID-19 and heart attacks, clots, arrhythmia, strokes. Well, these signals are in the range of the 5G readings. You read that kids are being affected this way. Well, I'm not suggesting that kids are being targeted directly, as I am. It could very well be that their bodies can't take the 5G power. Or it could be that they're being raped, sodomized, under the cover of the 5G signals. So I'm just going to stop there. It's going on 20 minutes.